Hi all, I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Friday, January 19th, 2017, and you're watching live at 5. Our guest today is a Matterport service provider, a longtime Matterport service provider, Terry Taylor with GLARI, and GLARI, GLARI, which is formerly 3D Mod. Terry, good to see you.
Well, good morning. I should say good afternoon to you. It's morning where I'm at.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit confusing because I would describe you as a Milwaukee-based Matterport service provider, and yet you're in Guam. So, what's the story?
Oh, very true. We're based out of Milwaukee. Currently, I'm in Guam, and I'll be in Guam for a number of weeks. So right now it's 8 a.m. Saturday morning. So as you said,
And
it's
and
Friday.
and and 5 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, January 19th, 2018. So, what are you doing in Guam?
Well, kind of a long story. And a little bit on the personal side, but I'd love to share it with you and your listeners. About a year ago, my wife and I decided that we were going to sell everything that we had: cars, businesses, condos, houses, everything, and we're just going to travel the world. So we sold everything, and starting in April of this year, we came to Guam, and then we've been to Japan, Bali, Korea, South Korea, excuse me, Dominican Republic. We've been traveling around, and I've been using my Matterport in most of the places that I've been going. A little trick that I learned from you was when you go someplace, talk to the manager of the hotel or the person that has the Airbnb, and they are very excited about getting a scan of their property. So I started bringing my camera around with me and doing scans. And so I was getting sometimes a free night and sometimes a little bit more, making a little beer money on the side, as I like to call it. And that kind of blossomed into an entire other aspect of the business. As you said, the business is constantly evolving. And we've actually formed a part called GLARI International. And we've got some more jobs coming up, again, going back into the Dominican Republic. We've got contacts with a builder there, and we're going to be doing several of his new build outs. I've just did a contract here in Guam yesterday, and working at getting more international presence going. So while we're Milwaukee based, we've been traveling from coast to coast in the United States, and now I've been handling the international aspect. My wife is a physician, so wherever we go, she works in the local hospital, and then I will travel around doing the Matterport scans. And as you know, I also do other things with Matterport, which I'm sure we'll be getting into later.
Terrific. So hopefully you're still there because I hear a little bit of breakup in our audio. That's such a great opening, Terry, because we got so much to cover. Before we move on to about the beginning of time for Matterport for you, I still would just like to follow up a little bit on this barter for spaces for travel accommodation. So could you just take a little bit of deeper dive in terms of tactically what steps you've been following and what the result has been? Do you already book it on cash and show up, or are you sending emails ahead of time? How's that working for you?
I do send emails ahead of time, especially with the Airbnbs. It's kind of hit and miss. It's usually I've had better luck with the hotels or the condos, that when you can rent some of those on short term. I send an introduction, and it's usually one that I've already talked to the person about leasing, and they say, oh, by the way, I also provide this service. And then I'll send them a link of some of the ones that we've done. And it's always very well received. But once or twice, the people say, well, I've actually, this is my high season and I don't have any use for it. Now, when I get there, sometimes I'll say, listen, you don't have a high season 365. Let me help you market your properties. And I can show them some of the other things that we do, such as the animations and the videography and the drones and everything else. But for the most part, they're very excited, and just, they'll take me up to my room, or they'll take me up As I mentioned, I just did one. They take me up to their penthouse, and I'll scan the penthouse. And yesterday, I also scanned a 360 off of the 14th, the rooftop of a 14-story tall building, which in Guam is a very tall building, and got a beautiful view of the bay and the surrounding area. So again, usually it's somebody that I've talked to, then I reach out to them and tell them what I'm doing. Now, as I'm spending more time in a particular area, now I'm starting to reach out to the real estate agents and starting to try to get a presence. And I'm also targeting our social media. As you know, Facebook targeted ads are very good at that, Instagram targeted ads, and also direct email when I can get my hands on a local list. And so that's how I'm trying to expand the international aspect.
Yeah, it is very exciting to hear, you say, okay, we write about barter trading for hotel travel, and the We Get Around Network Forum to actually, hear a member that has read, acted on it, and has resulted in free travel accommodations and cash. That's certainly very exciting to hear.
And again, I got it from the forum, so thank you for that.
Yeah, you bet. So, gosh, I wonder how many of our viewers watching this that their spouses are like we're all two peas in a pot or something. Because I know that whenever I go to a hotel, my wife and I go to a hotel, to accommodations, about the first thing that I do is scan or take 360s or do Matterport or something. I'm just compelled to create content, and I feel, wow, this is a clean, pristine space. It's already staged. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but I'm going to scan it. And I may go back to the hotel and say, hey, I got this. Let's talk future accommodations or whatever, but my wife is very patient because she knows we could drive 5 or 7 hours to a destination, and she's waiting in the lobby for me to finish up the photography. And it sounds like that's a similar process for you and your wife.
Yes, very similar.
Yeah. So I guess we have to put that on our excess baggage, check now, before I propose marriage, I just want to make sure that you'll be okay with the fact that every time that we check in to a hotel or destination, you're going to need to wait for me to scan the place.
Yeah, excellent point. And yes, that's we are two peas in the pod. You brought up a point when you said baggage that was a big concern to me, and I thought your listeners might want to learn. I was concerned about taking a Matterport camera. I've got an iPad Pro. Matter of fact, I just got the 12.9 inch, which is a little bit big, but for everything else I do, that's what I needed. Plus, you've got I got a Theta 35 millimeter. I come through with all this camera equipment, and I know a friend who had a similar thing. And I was very worried about the TSA, or I was very worried about going to various foreign countries and what their immigration and their security was going to be like. Never had a problem. One time in all my travels has the TSA swabbed it with the swabs, looking for residue or whatever. And there was no problem. Sometimes you just get hit with a random check. But even with all that equipment, and the Matterport equipment's got through with no problems. Now I got a special pack for it, obviously, and I carried on with me. But no problems at all getting through TSA, getting through customs, or anything else. So if anyone's worried about that, my personal experience, limited as it is to about half a dozen or more countries, has been perfect.
Yeah, I've known for me that where I've traveled quite a bit, where I just ask for the hand inspection. I don't bother pulling laptops and stuff out of, because I know I'm going to set off alarms, and I'd rather have a private space to have them gently pull the camera out of the case and be able to put it back in the case properly. So, what kind of case are you using to travel, given that you're traveling internationally with your Matterport camera?
Well, to tell you the truth, one thing I did is I got the global entry, which includes the TSA pre-check, so I don't have to do everything. But I just got a, oh goodness, it's a Swiss backpack, basically.
Yeah.
That's made for electronic equipment.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I always carry it on with me because it is a financial investment, all that equipment. I want it with me. But yeah, that's it. It's specially made, like I said, for electronic equipment. It's made so you can just tear it up and, all your equipment's showing to the TSA. But
Mhm.
again, with the TSA pre-check, I never have any problems.
Well, we've started a discussion in the We Get Around Network Forum on today's program, WGAN TV Live at 5 with Terry Taylor. So, Terry, perhaps if you still have a link to that, you could share a shopping link in case anybody was interested in particular in which knapsack that you're using.
I'll be glad
Um,
to.
yeah. Gee, I know this is supposed to be about you, but I thought I'd just share, one more story on that previous topic. Is for whatever reason, my wife and I were traveling to St. Simon's Island, and it's about a 7 hour drive. And my wife was talking about her niece that was visiting us in Atlanta, to see Emory University, would continue on with us for our annual family reunion at St. Simon's. And therefore, she was thinking about renting a bigger car because she brings a cello with her to the beach and I bring a lot of camera gear. And now there's three of us and we wouldn't have room. And I'm thinking, oh, it's going to cost the $800 for the week for that van. I said, tell you what, I'll fly ahead to St. Simon's Island with a one-way ticket, and her niece will end up being flying home with her family to California from St. Simon's. But that'll let me get to the house that we rented on the beach, a 5 bedroom house, and I'll have hours to shoot while they're driving. And so literally, I packed up all my stuff. It was in the car, other than my camera gear that I was bringing with me on the flight. Took an Uber, and ended up having, I think, a 4 or 5 hour head start to do all the photography I wanted to do in the house, and then for family to show up. So in that case, I didn't have to keep my wife my wife waiting. But I thought it was kind of funny that I flew to our vacation while she was driving, and I said, look, we're gonna save. My flight might maybe cost $100 or something. We saved $700, and I got to do my photography. Everybody was happy. Anyway, let's start from the beginning of time. Terry Taylor, when did Matterport first come on your radar?
Matterport came on my radar about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I have a brother in Traverse City, Michigan, and he and I were having a conversation about how my son was about ready to graduate from college. And my son has a degree in graphic arts from Concordia University in Milwaukee.
And this
And
is Michael.
this is Michael,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'll get to where he's at now.
Okay. Okay.
And he also has from the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, which is a very prestigious art and design academy in Milwaukee. And so we were trying to think of, all right, my son's graduating. Relief, no longer paying for that tuition. But now the Milwaukee artist community is famous for how talented they are and how they don't make much money. And my brother had his own brokerage, or had just sold his own brokerage. And he said, listen, there's this technology out there that's really got me excited. It's called Matterport. Let me send you some information. And he sent me the information and I showed it to my son, and my son just lit up. He says, oh, because I want to do film, I want to do editing, I want to do all this stuff. This is perfect. This is great. And so we sat down with, again, my brother, who is the real estate guru. He's done very well. And then I sat down with several other real estate people that I knew, some in Florida, some in Michigan, Wisconsin, and they all seemed to be very excited about what Matterport could do for them, how it could, reach the different customers. And so we said, all right, for your, graduation gift, we'll get you the equipment. At the same time, I was kind of thinking, I've owned bars, I've owned restaurants, I've owned businesses of my own. This really is a good idea. I could kind of come in and help set this up and then see where it goes. And it took a lot of work in the beginning because it's hard to convince real estate agents that they need to invest in you. they need to invest in your product, then you're going to give them a good ROI for that product. So I used a lot of my contacts in the business community and tried to leverage that. He used a lot of his contacts and his experience and skills. And together, we came up with 3MOD, which stood for 3D modeling. And we started 3MOD. It slowly got a little bit more and more successful. And it got to the point where it was generating good revenue, consistent revenue. And then I thought, well, all right, I'm going to kind of do this thing where my wife and I are going to travel the world now. What would you think about buying the company from me? And he looked at what was going on. And, again, I've owned businesses his whole life. So he knew, and we had a lot of frank conversations about, the bills and the taxes and what it takes to grow and, bringing other people on and what you've got to do to, still make money once you've done that. And he said, fine. So I kind of stepped back. And during this time, we kept having problems with the name 3MOD. Kept having, 3-mod, with the emails and the website and everything else. So he said, you know what, I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to, incorporate on my own. I'm going to take care of this on my own. And I'm going to do it as GLARI. And he made that name up. It's a lot like Camry with Toyota. It was a made up name. It sounds good. It's not an acronym for anything. But it's pretty impactful, I think. Customers seem to have reacted positively to it, and it's easy for them to remember. So he got it going, and then he started getting businesses. One week he was in Seattle, Madison, Wisconsin, Boston, and Philadelphia. He started getting a commercial contract. I know that was 85 locations. He needed help trying to get it to grow. And so he called me up and said, Dad, could kind of use some help here. This is growing. I don't want to I don't want to make him sound bad, but he says, I don't have the experience that you do. Can you come back in? So I went back in and we made up my title, which is Vice President of Market Expansion. And I helped him grow intelligently. We turned down some contracts, and then, tried to shuttle some of the other ones off to people that we knew. And it's gotten to the point where it's doing very well. And as I said, now that I'm traveling internationally all the time, we're putting together another aspect called GLARI International. And that's me traveling wherever I'm going. But we're trying to put some packages because I have friends all over Europe and all over the place. And so I'm trying to work with them and trying to get something going in various countries and to make it an international in scope. So he's going to be handling the domestic. As I mentioned earlier, there's a shoot down the Dominican for about 6 locations that he's going to be doing because I'm here in Guam. But after that, we're going to try to be hiring and working. He's going to handle the domestic and I'll handle the international. So that's kind of like from the beginning to a conversation where I was sitting on the deck with my brother, who's a real estate guy, taking it to a national and international aspect.
And I would say it's evolved even beyond Matterport, though. So you initially were thinking this is a Matterport specific business. So today, what are the different services that GLARI provides?
We provide video editing, video capture, photography, drone flights. Basically, we try to be a full marketing agency that's dedicated towards real estate agents. We've kicked around the tagline, we're not agents, we make agents better. We want them to bring us in and we'll put together full packages for them. We do the whiteboard animations, which I know a lot of your network has used. So thank you guys for that.
I should just parenthetically say that you may not have heard of Terry Taylor in Milwaukee or the company formerly known as 3MOD, but We Get Around the We Get Around network has been using Terry's handwritten whiteboard explainer videos to help tell the story for literally dozens of different membership benefits. And so thank you, Terry, because we find those handwritten explainer videos very helpful to tell our story for each of the different membership benefits. and frankly, they're very affordable for us. So I think it's good for you, good for us, and it's good for our members trying to understand perhaps WP 3D models or some other member free use of WP 3D models or some other membership benefits. So thank you for those. We appreciate it. So
Well,
so
thank
and
you.
you and that is one of the services that you provide is not is and I should say is just as a membership benefit. Basic, standard, and premium members of the We Get Around network, depending on tier level, get the free use of videos that you customize with their contact info and their logo. So, and in addition to that, did you also make those that service available to anyone that wants to buy it? Yeah,
At a very big discount for forum members, yes.
for We Get Around network forum members. Yeah. So let's do a little bit of a deeper dive into the different services. So how did drone enter the discussion? And is that you? Is that Michael? Is that yet someone else?
It was me, and then when I left, we tried to find some certified pilots wherever we go. It's drone is an amazing additional ability that we can provide, but I want to caution people about knowing where you're shooting, because sometimes the real estate agents don't understand the laws and the regulations that are involved with drone flights. So once you tell them, hey, listen, this is going to take me about 60 days to get permission to do, they're not quite as excited. Other times when it's, everything's good and you can do the drone footage, it adds a depth to the video presentation. So we can do not only the properties, but we try to do the entire area, around the parks. If there's golf courses close by, we do a pan and scan. There's one of our customers that builds entire residence areas, and so we'll do like the entire area that they're building out all their properties on, and then we try to make what we call an environmental shot, where we put the video together and it shows the people that are going to be buying those properties, hey, this is what the area looks like. And we have the various statistics about the schools and that. And the drone aspect, they're breathtaking shots. Everyone likes to look at drone shots because that's not something we normally can see. And we use a DJI Phantom 4, which is an incredible device. And we've been using it for when they very first came out, so about 2 years.
And where is your DJI? Is it in Milwaukee or is it in Guam today?
It's in Milwaukee today.
So when you're traveling, do you have another drone, or you're picking up a local aerial photographer as necessary?
Yeah, so far, the one time I picked up a local. Guam, I have not got a drone yet. We have a huge Air Force base and a nuclear submarine base, and it's a small island, and I can literally see the jets as they're landing in the airport. So I haven't done that yet. As soon as one of my customers requests that, then I'll have it shipped over, or I'll just buy my own.
Okay.
Again,
or tell us, and we'll run a aerial drone photographer wanted notice for Guam and see if we can locate one for you.
I did the pinpoints on Guam, and there's only 2 pinpoints on Guam for Matterport service providers, and I'm both of them. So hopefully we can expand. I've already talked to some real estate agents working with the Guam Visitors Bureau, meeting with them actually beginning of next week. So maybe we can stir up some interest.
Yes.
We can get some more members.
Do I recall that you were in the military as well?
Correct. Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing my Team RWB shirt, which is Team Red, White, and Blue. Former military, big fan and supporter of Team RWB. So I'm going to take 30 seconds if you don't mind. Fantastic veterans organization. They work with veterans, integrating them back into private life. They also work with active service personnel. Matter of fact, we have a social meeting going on in about an hour here in Guam, where we're going on a 3.5 mile walk or hike. So what they do is they have social activities with veterans, so veterans can talk to veterans and in a safe environment and help them kind of get back into the real world. Now, an old timer like me, I'm also a member of the American Legion. Some of these kids that are coming out have different issues, but having a social organization um, like Team RWB, fantastic thing. And I donate a lot of work to Team RWB.
So
Sorry, but
that's great.
here's my 30-second
That
pitch.
yeah, that's great. Thank you for your military service, and thank you for the volunteer work that you do with the military. Um, we talked a little bit about aerial. When you started your business, you're really starting from scratch because it doesn't sound like you were a photographer at that time.
Correct. My son
So
again. Oh, go ahead.
talk a little bit about it because it sounds like the evolution of what is now GLARI Media, or excuse me, is GLARI on the website. It's glarimedia.com, GLARIMEDIA.com. So the evolution of GLARI sounds like it eventually started to include photos and video, obviously the aerial. Can you talk about a little bit about how did you end up saying, oh, we need to add photos, we need to add video?
That actually was all by customers' request. Once they saw what we were doing with the Matterport is the driver of everything. It's the engine, and everything else has been, an add-on. Now the video is becoming as big. I know we've hired some people that have helped with the recording. Matter of fact, I was just talking to a gentleman who's a teacher up in Marquette, Michigan, and in the summer he wants to come around and do a lot of videography for us. But it all comes from my son has for years had a very artistic bent, excellent drawer, painter, photographer. And that's why when he went to school, he went for graphic arts. And he also went to, again, the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design, and he went through their entire program. And being the proud dad, I'm going to say that he went through both and graduated when he was 21. So proud dad says I got a smart kid. But he's got a genuine knack, and he's got access to a tremendous network of very artistic people, not just in the Milwaukee or Wisconsin area. He can tap into people, I'd have to go Idaho, again, Seattle, just basically all over the place. And he's always sending me, hey, Dad, look at this, look at this. So the photography part was his skill set. And then the business grew because he had the skill set to properly vet the people that we were bringing on to help us. Now, we do one-off still, 1099 people. We haven't gotten to the point where we have a big, huge full-time staff. Everything is still, per job. But he has a very good eye. He shot commercials for a clothing line out of Chicago. He does side work too. So he's got some skills that people appreciate. And again, when somebody says, hey, I need some pictures taken, we say, yeah, we can do that for you. Or I need can you do an environmental video? Of course, that's actually, what he went to school for. And then when they look at it, all of a sudden we're getting additional jobs. So the customer is asking, and as your forum members know, anytime you're in sales mode, you're listening. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Use them in that order is the old cliche. You're always listening. You're talking to them. You want to understand their business. You want to understand how they want you to operate within their business. And you want to make sure that, you're providing their vision, which with videography and photography, as you know, you might have a phenomenal picture, but they don't want anything to do with it. You have to make sure you're providing their vision in a very professional way. And so when you're talking to them, that's when some of these things come up. Oh, by the way, we need some pictures taken, or we need a drone flight, or, can you do the video for us? Can you put everything together in a package? Of course.
And how do you deliver your packages?
Well, we've actually, usually everything's done through Dropbox. Sometimes we will actually hand deliver thumb drives, but
WP3D models? Are you using the WP3D models, WordPress plugins, single property website to deliver your digital assets?
well, we're going to. That's one of the things about me kind of moving out and then getting back in. Um, I've actually spent a tremendous amount of time recently going back in. As you probably have seen some of the messages from me, hey, what about this? Or I need this, being plugged back in. So, but no, matter of fact, I will go back in and take a very good look at that. But you're right.
Yes,
That
you're
that's one of
a
those.
I want to say a standard member of the We Get Around Network Forum. You get the free use of WP 3D models. Doing your aerials, you might want to take a look at 360 tours. You get the free use of 360 tours. You can plug in your aerial 360s into 360 tours, and then you can use that to plug it into WP 3D models. It's all seamlessly integrates together, and you get the free use of that. Um, what other visual storytelling solutions are you and Michael providing with GLARI to your clients? Photo, video, aerial, Matterport,
And then the animations.
the handwritten animations. Yep.
Handwritten animations.
Okay.
I've recently been talking to another member of the forum, Blue Sketch,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to be providing some of the virtual furnishings that we're going to partner with them to provide those. Those are the venues that we're using right now.
Okay, and then Blue Sketch, just a reminder, as a standard member, you get 60% off 2D floor plans, and there's a discount on 3D floor plans, as well as virtual staging. Have you been doing any virtual staging yet? Not yet.
Not yet. Just reached out to him last week and
Okay.
I had a conversation with him. And we're talking about how we want the partnership to look like. And as soon as we get the clients on board, we've got a lot of commercial property clients, and they've asked a couple of times, but when we start coming back with, well, we'll get back to it. Well, wait a minute. So I wanted to have something that I could actually show them.
Mm-hmm.
People are very visual. This is why our entire project works, is people are visual. So once we have something to show them, hence the reason I reached out to Blue Sketch.
Yeah, incidentally, I think there's an opportunity there. I think of it a little bit as a Chinese restaurant. You always get something extras. You order but the extra side vegetable, the extra main dish, the orange that comes with the fortune cookies. So even if you're not offering, even if you're not pitching that to clients, it's a great thank you, and then they love it and say, oh, by the way, when you do your next job, this is what we charge for that. Thank you. Here's for this particular project, but surprise and delight, and still pitching forward for the next job that you have a solution to provide. And incidentally, with Blue Sketch, you can put your logo or your client's logo. If you're using Matterport floor plans, you're tied to the black. You're tied to what and it's got the Matterport logo. And as far as I know, if you take their logo off, you're in violation of their terms. So happy to hear that that you're talking with Blue Sketch about providing a solution, and they'll tailor. That would be a play on word. Terry Taylor. They will. You like that? They will use the color palette that you want, the logo that you want, and the kinds of measurements. You want it as a tape measure. You want it as just 10 by 10. With the anyway. So excited. Um, it sounds like you've done a lot of interesting spaces. I mean, a lot of members of the We Get Around Network Forum have been focused on residential real estate. We keep talking about you got to find other verticals, especially verticals that have that resonate with you, and maybe you have relationships, trusted relationships. Did you start out? You mentioned that you owned, I want to say, some nightclubs or bars. Did you start out scanning some nightclubs and bars when you started out?
No, no, I've owned restaurants and bars,
Restaurants.
yeah, and other businesses. Um, not, no, actually, very few of those. One of the most interesting one, if you ask me, we had to actually work with Matterport on this, but we did an 85,000 square foot commercial space. And we ended up having to break that up into 3 models, but we had to, again, we worked with Matterport before we started the job and got it all done. That one provided some interesting challenges. So when you said interesting spots, that first
Well,
came to mind.
let's do a little deeper dive on that, because that's a very unusual space for Matterport. So can you talk a little bit about either about how the project came about and then what the challenges were shooting. So sometimes people think shooting a lot of space means you're gonna deliver at a far less cost, where it actually turns out to be far harder to do.
It
So
was, yes, very true. It was very difficult. There was a lot of wide open spaces, and as you know, the camera hates wide open spaces. So again, I actually went on the forum and found the tip of, put a chair or put a little cone or put some object that the camera can jump to and fixate on, and then when you're past that area. But 85,000 square feet, it was obviously a commercial real estate. And it was actually in Milwaukee, and we reached out to Matterport, and the hard rule, I think it's 20,000 feet.
10,000. We'll support up to 10,000 square feet or 200 up to 200 scans. Now, it's in contrast to what their website says, because in other places on their website, they'll tell you that I want to say that they can do far more than that, but there's still a conflict on their website of, on one hand, saying we'll support up to 200 scans or 10,000 square feet, and the AEC department, the architect, engineers, and construction, are telling you we can easily handle thousands and thousands of square feet. So,
But as I said, we had to break it up into 3 different models. Fortunately, it was basically a large technology company that had gone under. I don't want to use the name. And so it was rows of offices on each side of the building with the windows. And then the inside was a large area where they used to have the ping pong tables and the pool tables and, beanbag chairs and all that kind of stuff, and cafe. So we had to break that up into 3 different pieces, working in conjunction with the Matterport people. Now, I will say they did a fantastic job. The 200 scan limit, we kind of went over that a little bit, and it starts getting kind of a little flaky. And
what does flaky mean?
Um, there seem to be like little glitches in the matrix, or little parts where it didn't match up well. And so
you're expecting the scan to be in point A, but it's actually in point B, and so you have to delete that scan and then continue on. So you're having to really watch that the scan is showing up on your iPad where you expect it to show up.
Very much so, yes. That happened a lot. That also happened in some of the larger rooms where you're moving forward and all of a sudden the scan shows up back where you were. But then after a while, it just stopped taking. I forget if it's like 215 or 210. It just wouldn't accept any more scans. But again, working with the Matterport people, they were fantastic. They really helped us get that done. As you can imagine, it's very time consuming. I think it took me the better part of 5 days, 4 days, to scan that area. There was one area that had a very strange carpet pattern, and it was a very wide open, and the camera it took me forever to do that. So that was one of the more challenging areas. You had mentioned some of the more unique areas. We also did a museum.
Terry, before you go on, I just wanted to double check. You mentioned that business had gone under. I hope you got paid.
Oh, no. It was the commercial real estate agency that hired us. They're an international commercial real estate company.
Great.
And so they're trying to get customers from all over, China, Japan, wherever. So they needed this online. The company that had occupied that space was out of business before I even scanned it.
I see. So this was actually using Matterport Spaces 3D Tours as a way to enable commercial, perhaps investors or buyers who are doing a pre-tour of the space, or they might actually bid on it sight unseen except for the Matterport space?
Well, it basically, I know this particular, well, it's Collier's International, and I know they sell worldwide, and I know that they'll have commercial buyers that will look at several different spots, and then they'll send a team to go look and do see what the city's like. And for Milwaukee is a fantastic city that's really investing a ton of money into its infrastructure and everything else. But it has a reputation from 20 years ago when you said Milwaukee, people didn't think, tech hub. Now people are shocked when I can show them all the things that are happening in Milwaukee, but they need to see that. So when you have somebody from France or somebody from London or somebody from Tokyo, they need to see what exactly it looks like. And instead of sending a team to 5 different locations throughout the US, now they can view it and just go to 1 or 2, the top 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that company is using our services for.
Yeah, that's terrific. That's a way to get buy-in to say, that's unexpected. We should actually go visit that. That sounds, yeah, okay, great. You were starting to talk about other spaces other than residential real estate, a
We
museum.
did we did the art museum for Concordia University, which has donated art and also student art. And Concordia is a private college. They actually have 12 campuses throughout the United States. But we went and did their art gallery, and it's been getting some serious traffic. So I know that they're using that as part of their way to attract students or alumni. Hey, this is what we got. As we all know, colleges go after their alumni for additional funds.
I know that when I scanned Kennesaw State University, one of the use cases was just helping students find their classrooms prior to school. Interestingly, while I can't say that that's the reason a school would engage you to go shoot something like this, but it turned out to be a use case. And even while I was scanning, which was kind of like, I think it was like summer break or something, there were students there looking for their classrooms before school opened to know where they needed to be. I mean, they were just that diligent to make sure that they were going to be on time first day of class. So it was fun trying to explain to them what I was doing. And they go, "Oh, wow, I wouldn't have had to come to campus. I could have just walked through through the campus this way." Yeah.
What an excellent use. Yes.
Another use case. Okay. So other categories of spaces.
Well, the one that I want to get into next, as you said, is the bars, hospitality. Well, not hospitality industry as far as hotels, because I'm already doing that, but restaurants, some of the nicer places. I really see as a marketing tool that puts them ahead. Guam, if for people who aren't familiar with Guam, there are 160,000 people here.
And Kmart.
And the largest Kmart, yes. It's huge and it's busy always.
Does 10 times the amount of sales as any Kmart, the nearest Kmart in the United States does.
Excellent. Yes. Excellent
Yes.
knowledge.
It's a tourist destination, isn't it?
It's huge. And that's what I was getting to. So there's 160,000 people, 40,000 which are U.S. military or dependents. So, well, 160,000, but they have 140,000 tourists every month. So at any given time, any given month, you've got about 300,000 people, half of which are probably from Japan and South Korea. There you can get Gucci, you can get Coach, you can get Tiffany, or you can go and go further in island and get some fantastic things. A whole melting pot of what's going, of this area as far as people coming in. But like I said, almost as many tourists at any given time as there are residents. And so this area for me, if I can get some of the highlights, some of the restaurants, some of the social areas, I think is just a huge opportunity. Now that's, so if you live in a tourist town, I would think that your members would want to kind of exploit the same thing. Go to using Matter tags and, being able to put the videos up of the area or the specials in a restaurant. I think it's a huge opportunity that I'm going to be exploring a lot more aggressively now that I'm here.
And have you given any thought to how Matterport publishing to Google Street View might affect your business?
Yes, and that's actually one of the reasons that I've been going through the forum again and getting a lot of information. And I watched oh goodness, what was the show what was your last week's show? The skins, Panoskin.
Panoskin Pro, yes.
Panoskin Pro. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about that. And I think that will provide us a competitive advantage and provide the locations here. There's a lot of restaurants. There's a lot of people that are gearing towards foreign tourists, but until the tourists get here, they don't know they're here. And I'm telling them, listen, this is a way for you to actually communicate with these people, let them be familiar. Because I'm a tourist. I want to go someplace I'm from, I don't want to say familiar. I love the exploring, but if I have a place that I can say, okay, I want to go to Guam and I want to see this, this, and this, that's going to be a lot better for me to be able to make my plans.
Yeah, and I would think with Matterport to Google Street View publishing, presently in beta today, Friday, January 19th, 2018, in public beta, hopefully soon exiting public beta, but that you'd be able to offer a restaurant client, for example, the best of both worlds, to both get them on the Google Street View on Google Maps, given the massive search that people are doing, either searching by Google or searching Google Maps, and then to be able to have the Matterport version for the restaurant's website that you can trick out with Matter tags and annotate it in a way that you can't do with Google. So, gosh, if you want to read more about Google Street View in the We Get Around Network forum, look for the tag GSV, Google Street View. So you can use our search box powered by Google on the We Get Around Network forum, search for GSV or search for Google Street View, and you can easily call up discussions all on Google to be able to do a deep dive on Google Street View. Yeah. What else should we talk about?
Well, I'm an open book. What would you like to know?
I'd like to know more about this Kmart, that it's a tourist destination in Guam. I mean, like the Wall Street Journal just did a full page this week on the Guam Kmart as a tourist destination for everyone coming from Japan and South Korea. That it's one of the places you go, and apparently it's a 24/7 Kmart, and it's packed like Christmas all year long.
It's got a huge parking lot that's also always full, and there's also parking on the roof. It's bigger than any Sam's Club. And yes, when you go in there, there's a tremendous amount, again, of Japanese and South Koreans there. A lot of the signs here in Guam are in English, because Guam is a U.S. territory. A lot of people forget that. English, Japanese, and Korean. So you see all three. But they have shirts like Guam, where the sun rises on America, and anything with say a flag on it or Guam on sells like crazy. Plus, it's got a huge Little Caesars in it. and wherever you go, you see these guys walking out with boxes, either the small one or big boxes of Little Caesars. And if they don't get it there, there's like a little kiosk in the entryway, again, of Little Caesars pizza. So Kmart and Little Caesars are just flooding out of that. And it's, like you said, it's always very busy. There's no other real, Macy's is here, but Macy's and Kmart are the large retailers for the area. So
yeah, that's great. I did want to ask you, I think before we wrap up, I think two other themes here. One was on, given your background in restaurants, and I'm just wondering if you've set up a trade deal with one of your restaurants in Guam doing scans.
it's on the program. Like I said, just get my feet wet here, but yes, definitely.
We'll keep you. We'll publish to Google Street View, and we'll keep it live as long as you keep feeding us.
Well, that is one of the things about Guam too. It's not a self-sufficient island because of the huge amount of people that flow through. So your typical meal is probably it's very expensive. When I flew last time when I was here, and then I flew to Hawaii, I was very relieved how cheap everything was. And so people go, I've been to Hawaii. It's not cheap.
It's
like,
not.
well,
I was going to say. I think I've been to 38 countries in Alaska and Hawaii, and it's not cheap. So that really kind of explains the pricing in Guam, if that's the case.
Lunch for two people is usually about $40, and that's
Oh
just
my
a
gosh.
hamburger, fries, and soda.
Wow.
So yeah, everything's just a
What are
little
you
bit
doing talking to me? You should be out scanning.
more.
You got to pay for dinner tonight.
I know. Well, like I said, I had a scan yesterday or two scans yesterday. So yeah, I'm good for today, but I got to get back out there and get ready for tomorrow.
All right. So last topic I wanted to talk about, we covered a lot. If you were just tuning in, we've been visiting with Terry Taylor, the get the title right, the VP of International Marketing Development Business,
Market expansion.
a VP of Market Expansion for GLARI,
Yep.
a Milwaukee-based Matterport service provider, a real estate marketing agency. Though we happen to be visiting with Terry in Guam, and if you missed any portion of today's program, we've been recording it. We'll put it in the We Get Around Network forum, and you can hear also how and why Terry ended up in Guam, and then maybe even a little bit about why I think, has been in Dominican Republic or heading back to Dominican Republic, or been in Japan and been traveling. So really, to just kind of if finish up here, Terry, I just wanted to, what a fascinating thing to like sell all your possessions and say, we're going to go see the world. So what do you got coming up in your travel plans that you're excited about?
Well, next we want to go back to South Korea because we absolutely loved it. We had Cape Town was supposed to be coming up here, but I don't know if you've heard they're running out of water.
Yes. Wow.
Shocking. Yeah, absolutely shocking that they are just about out of water. So we kind of are looking. I reached out to some friends in Australia. The nice thing about Guam is it's a great jumping off spot for just about anywhere. So we want to travel at least like 1 week a month from Guam. So again, Cape Town just got taken off, and now again, we also want to stay where it's warm. So Japan's a little bit colder right now. So we're looking.
Australia. Australia would be warm right now.
Oh yes, yes. Like I said, that's probably where we'll be going in about 2 weeks. See, we have a nasty habit of just like finding the place we want to go and then we go. It's a little bit more expensive, but if you wait, you can also, if you're open to the location, you just wait and you find a great deal, and then you go. We also have our sights on the Olympics, as I said, in South Korea. So we're just going to see what happens.
Very exciting. Terry Taylor, thank you for joining us on WGAN TV Live at 5.
Thank you, Dan. Really appreciate your time.
It's good visiting with you. Hang in there a second for Terry. I want to visit with you just a moment and just thank all our viewers of WGAN TV at the We Get Around Network Forum for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And enjoy your evening, enjoy your weekend. So, okay, then I've stopped our recording there, and then let me stop